Our hearing today is for the United States Agency for International Development budget request for FY25. We welcome the Honorable Samantha Power with us today. The director is doing an incredible job with all the challenges we have around the world, so we thank you very much for your public service. From the civil war in Sudan to terror attacks and coups in West Africa and the Sahel region, to the famine in Gaza, to the humanitarian crisis in Haiti, there are more and more challenges in the world today. And yet, despite the best efforts of our colleagues on the Appropriations Committee, I know that we have Senator Shaheen here, but Senator Coons, who chairs the subcommittee, the foreign assistance budget for this year, enacted 6 months into the year, declined by 5%, in some parts of USAID budgets by as much as 10%. The result is that when we try to address one crisis, we often have to use money from somewhere else. We should not have to choose between addressing the climate crisis or helping vulnerable communities adapt to our rapidly changing world, or housing refugees fleeing violence, or funding anti-corruption programs, or strengthening our global health initiatives. We need to expand the pie. Administrator Power, I know you deal with these daunting challenges every day at USAID. I appreciate your leadership and thank you for appearing before us today. I recognize that you and your team work in some of the toughest and dangerous places in the world. By supporting economic development in the Pacific Island nations to Latin America, USAID is pushing back against China's growing influence. By helping Ukraine with direct budget support, you're keeping the government open while it fights back against Putin's brutal attacks. Our nation's generosity is a stark contrast to programs like China's Belt and Road Initiative. The United States International Development Strategy is about supporting the aspirations of millions of average citizens around the world. It's about promoting prosperity, independence, and peace. As opposed to the debt-trapped diplomacy Beijing uses to exert tremendous influence to weaken democracy, foment corruption, and assert control over decision-making in sovereign nations. This is why the success of USAID is so central to the United States' national security interests. Because the more free and thriving democratic nations that exist in the world, the safer and more prosperous we will be at home. I think good governance and anti-corruption efforts must be at the heart of USAID's mission on the ground, and I hope you will give us an update in this regard. I also look forward to hearing about the progress USAID is making in putting local communities in the lead of delivering programs, as you pledged to do 2 years ago, and we had a pretty healthy discussion about that during your testimony at that time. Localizing our assistance is critical to building sufficiency and getting the most bang for our buck. I also want your assessment of USAID's humanitarian relief around the world. Sudan faces a famine. I know Senator Booker was just recently in Sudan and reported to some of us the circumstances he saw, which are extremely dire. Haiti is a challenging environment, although the World Food Program, supported by Food for Peace, has an enormous warehouse in Port-au-Prince with grain stacked to the ceiling, and yet we have a crisis in Haiti. We need to get to people before they go hungry. Even as we respond to the world crisis and natural disasters, we also need to plan for the long term. Energy security, infrastructure, water and sanitation, improving opportunity for women and girls, democracy and good governance assistance. Many of these issues USAID handles will boomerang back at us in the future if we don't make real progress on addressing these challenges today. Your work is critically important to the United States' national security interests. So, Administrator Powell, we have a lot to cover, and I look forward to your testimony. At this time, we'll recognize my distinguished ranking member, Senator Risch.